So, hey guys, this is George, Crypto George, and today we'll be checking out some cool bug I found. Uh, it's mass assignment bug on sign up. I will show you how I found it. I will show you the code. I will also show you how I'm able to fuzz for how I work on APIs or web applications in general. So welcome to this stream. Okay, let's get started. So today we'll be attacking an API that I created. Not me personally that I created. A friend of mine created that API, and that's what we'll be attacking. Credits go mhm, to Nyando areas anomalies. He's the one who created this API, so credits goes to him. Let me just pull it up. So this is the API, just a simple API. So let's start. Let's intercept it with BAP. BAP, I don't think BAP is running. Okay, now that BAP is, I'm launching BAP suit. Okay, for those who don't know, Bobsuit is a tool that was created by a company called Podswigger, and it's what most uh, most web applications and most web application penetration testers use. If you want to get into web pen testing or web hacking, this is a must use tool. So let's start. So the first thing I do once I get an API is I first try to fingerprint the technology. I do this using various ways. Uh, there is an extension called, what's the name? Okay, let's just open it. Vaporizer. I use Vaporizer, and Vaporizer can tell you the technology is running behind a web app. So for this one, as you can see, the operating system is saying it's Ubuntu. It's Nginx 1.8, 1.18, 18.0. That's because, as you can see, it's one is short form for vulnerable. Vulnerable.xboy.roco. I'm running it in a VM, in one of my VMs under Proximo. It's an Ubuntu VM, running Nginx as a reverse proxy. I will show you the setup in a few minutes. So, okay, uh, so as you can see here is the API. This is the API that this is the API that is running the Python app. As you can see, I can show you the Docker file. So the Docker file is just, okay, let's do nano so that you can get a simple syntax highlighting. As you can see, we download the latest Python. We create a working directory called app. We copy everything in this directory to the directory in Docker, and then we run pip install -r requirements.txt. Then we expose port 8000 on the Docker Docker, and then we run Python manage.py migrate. Uh, this was causing error, so I implemented it. Then we run this command. We run the Python app with Python manage pyrun server, and then we run it globally on all interfaces on port 8000. Then to pull it up in to pull it as a Docker service, I created a Docker compose YAML file, and what it does is just exposes port 5000 the on the it it exposes port 5000 on our Ubuntu machine, and then connects connects that port 5000 to port 8000 on Docker. So um, let's grab for tips. Okay, sorry about that. Grab for TCP. As you can see, we have a few services running on Docker. Most of them I have bound them to localhost. However, this one is running globally. As you can see, it's port 5000. And then we have, so if we call that, so if we call that, as you can see, we get the page. Yeah. Then how I have reverse proxied it, I have done the following. This is the reverse proxy file that am using to reverse proxy the application. As you can see, it's just we just have a server name, as simple as just having a server name which we point to the subdomain or a subdomain. Then we put the location, the forward slash location, which is proxy passed to port 5000. And then on our Windows machine, the thing that you do on the Windows machine is, let me show you. Okay. So on the Windows machine, you edit the host file, and you point the subdomain to the IP of the Docker. Let me show you how. So this is I'm using Proxmox to run most of my machines. As you can see, this is the this is the Ubuntu machine. This is the one that is running that Docker file. So now that's out of the way. Let's now try to exploit the RAB, and then we will read the code. Okay, as you can see, so if I come up across an API, maybe it's an endpoint. Maybe let's say we were using a dashboard, and then it queried the following endpoint. What I do is I first identify the technology. You can use this you can use headers, uh, you can use other things, but as you can, that's weird. As you can see, the header doesn't give us much. It's just it's the server is Nginx running on Ubuntu. There's nothing else. So the other thing that I do is I usually try to make the server give me errors. I try to break the server so that I can see if maybe I can find some stuck traces about the application. So maybe if we send that, as you can see, we get an error that says for phone not found. However, we see page not found, but this is a lot for And then we see at the end of when we render it, we see that this is a Django error. This is a Django error. As you can see, it is saying that it couldn't get that path. And the thing about Django is when it doesn't get the paths, it's and debug is set to true, it will dump every path that it has. That's what Django does. It dumps every path that it has. So let's examine this in the browser. Let's copy that. So when I was working on this application, I came across this error, and I asked myself, how do I attack this? So the first thing I tried was the first part. The first part is admin, and Django has a rule that anything that has a pattern of admin is forwarded to a login page. This is not the default on this. My friend edited this one. I think he's using Bootstrap. I'm not sure. But you get a login screen and there's no sign up, there's nothing. So the thing you can try is some default credentials, maybe admin. However, that didn't work for me, and also I wasn't trying to access his panel, but I was just looking around. Then I found this API endpoint, so I moved to the API endpoint. That was my second move. I moved the API and I saw something about products and another one about sign up, and I thought, what about how about I check sign up? And when I tried to check sign up, I got the following. So I got the documentation. So from here we can see that in there he is using Django REST framework, and we have a sign up that says the first error is that the sign up does not support a get method. It only supports post and options. So we send options and we get just a bunch of data, important or depending on how you look at it. However, the function that I found most important was when you sent an empty post request, it would return an error, a very helpful error. As you can see, when we sent that, let's see if we can do this in back. Send repeater, and then we change. As you can see, we get the following error. Uh, we see that it needs a username and a password. So we create a an object. We create a JSON object with the username. Let's see admin, and we send in. We get an error. The password is required. These errors are usually very helpful if you are working on a you're on work if you're working on a project and they have enabled such errors. These are helpful because you don't have to guess around what you need to do. So the next thing I did was I added a dummy password and sent the request, and waited, and then it returned a token, but also it returned the it returned a JSON object, and a JSON object including this uh, this data, and then I had the dot. As you can see, Here we have some values. We have is active to true. We have is staff. We have last name. We have first name. We have is if is super user. We have the password in plain text. Uh, the thing that I tried to do was I decided to test how the application was working because this when I saw this is staff or is admin and I saw that it was sales to force. I decided to test for mass assignment. This is where the web server takes user input and updates or creates a database record without without checking whether the user controlled data is harmful. Like for instance, let me show you. So if we have created a user successfully and we have a token. However, if we go to the application, uh, let's go to the admin interface. When we try to log in with our newly created credentials, uh, we get an error that says that enter correct username and password for a staff account. So you must be a staff, and from how things looked for us, we are not staff. So in my mind, I was like, what if I could try to change this? And that's what I did. I created a new user. Let's just increment this and added the and changed the staff to true from false. And to my surprise, when the application returned the data, its was set to true. So now we have a new user to test, and and when I tested this new user, I found that I had access to the dashboard. So we have moved from not having any sort of access to having some staff access. So if there was something here, we would if the staff had something like they could control some things, we would see that. Uh, Now the next thing that I did was I asked myself what if we could turn ourselves into an admin, and to do that I decided to try to change the following, and I changed his super user and changed it to true. Okay, this will error out because a user already exists. True. Let's try that. And now I had an account that had super user privileges. So what I did was I let's create a new one, copy and paste, and that's one. I logged in with the newly created user, and when after it finished loading, I was welcomed to the admin dashboard, and uh, I could see a lot of things. I could see tokens, the active tokens. As you can see, we have some active tokens. I could see groups of the groups that were present. I could basically create new group, modify or do anything. I could also delete users, create users. As you can see, I could list all the users. I could also list the products that he had created. As you can see. So basically, that's the gist of it. Now we'll check. We'll try to check for. I will show you the code and what happened and what specifically went wrong. So I have shown you that we were able to privilege escalate ourselves from a normal user. We used mass assignment, became staff, and then from there we became the admin. Let me pull up the code. So here is the code. So this is the structure. This is the structure of his code. So we have the basic Django setup. We have a README because he uploaded it to GitHub. We have requirements.txt. As you can see, he used Django 4.24 and a few other packages. And then we have the Django manage that just runs administrative tasks. And then the BSQL. And now we have where he defined the URLs. As you can see, this is where he defined the URLs. I won't open settings right now because it has some sensitive data. However, we are interested in checking out views.py. Yeah, views.py. So let's minimize that. This is the class that is responsible for signing up a user. So we have the following, and you recognize it. So it takes a post request. As you can see, post request, and then it calls self and request. Then we call he calls serializer, which is equals to user serializer, which takes in data from request.data. Now user serializer is imported from API serializer. So API, this folder serializers. Let's open to the side. As you can see, the user serializer is just simple. It just takes all present fields in the user and then serializes all of it. So then after he first checks if the serializer is valid. If it's valid, he does a serializer.save. Then he takes he creates a user object and then starts to get objects from the request data. And this is where he gets the username and password. And then he does a user.save. Then he uses a token and then creates the user. That user equals to the user. And then the response, he returns the response of 201 created with a token which was created from here, and the data, the serializer, the data that was returned by the serializer. So as you can see, we have the token and then we have the serializer, as you can see. So we are able to control the data that is sent to the serializer. and that's how we are able to escalate our permissions and do and get them as assignment back. So uh, the issue is here. So the fix that he implemented was he added a permission model. He added a permission model. Now, if just now when you try to call the sign up method, you are told that authentication credentials were not provided. So you must be a staff or an admin to be able to use that endpoint. So that's how he fixed it. Let me pull up the code, the exact code that is responsible for fixing the bug. He just added the following line of code. That's the line of code that he added. And this one is just ensures that the user is authenticated. So that that code just ensures that the user is authenticated. He imported it from permissions from it's the default for Django. Okay, so that's the code. Uh, okay, guys, I took a short break and I wanted to show you something. So, what he did, what I showed you was he implemented this permission is authenticated, and if you remember, we so that one just I believe that one just checks for the user, and it whichever way by the end of this by the end of this test will you will learn how I test hypothesis and whether it works, I'm right. If it doesn't, I move to the next. That's how I basically work. So so when you try to after he implemented authentication, when you try to get to do a get or a post request to the endpoint, you get the following error: authentication credentials were not provided. Even if you try to do a post request, you will still get the same error. However, let's go back to the get request. Uh, what about if you used credentials of a raw privileged user? As you can see here, we have a user called admin and admin1234. So this is just some credentials that we used to create earlier. What happens when you send those? And we get method get not around. That's what that's the one that we're supposed to get. So what about if we send a post request with the same, just the lowest privileged user possible, and we get the same, we get the error. And then now what about if we try to create a new user? Let's call it admin 3. What happens when you try to do that? You see, we have successfully created a new user using a very low privileged user. Let me show you the dashboard. Where is it? This one. So when we come to, I forgot. I took down the service. Hmm? It seems that one will not be working for us, so we have to use this. So let's go to the admin panel, and we'll get the login, and then we'll test our new created user, admin 3. So as you can see, admin 3, and then admin 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom, we are logged in, and then we can manage users. So okay, well, what he implemented is something you would say secure. It is not that fully secure. As you can see, we were able to use this user who is not even a staff member, and we were able to create other admins. So basically, that's the gist of it. And yeah, anyway, since we are done, we can delete these users and delete. And for those wondering why we have access to this dashboard for getting from rock one, it's because I did he's using the rock one is using the same DBS as the other one. However, as you can see, the fix was not properly implemented, and yeah, so that's how the code looks like. And uh, that's how basically how I work on some applications, and that's how that one was. And thank you guys for attending my stream, and see you next time. Bye.